Hello and welcome to Brodual. This time we'll be hitting your nostalgia bone with some Morrowind inspired mods. The mod project Skywind aims to rebuild the entire Morrowind game using Skyrim's engine, but we thought, what options do we have for sprinkling just a bit of Morrowind into the world of Skyrim? Well, it turns out there's quite a few to choose from, and in this video we'll highlight some of our favourites. Let's start right at the beginning with character creation. The two games handled it very differently, but thankfully we have the perfect mod available, the character creation Overhaul. The mod brings back the traditional class system, allowing you to choose from 21 predefined classes, or you can even build your own custom class. These classes not only determine your starting skills and specializations, but thanks to new dynamic skill progression, they'll determine the path your character takes as you progress through the game. On top of that, the mod offers even more diversity between races and genders. This mostly applies common sense and realism to the race system, giving buffs or nerfs to certain characters where it makes sense. For example, male orcs start with more health and carry weight compared to a female high elf, but the high elf will almost certainly be more intelligent and come with higher starting magicka. And finally, just like in Morrowind, you can now start with a birth sign, or optionally you can just visit the standing stones as you play. All of these extra customization options allow for over 200,000 build combinations and give you even more freedom when starting out in the game, just like in Morrowind and previous Elder Scrolls games. It's also highly compatible alongside alternate start mods and other big overhauls, so it's definitely worth trying out. While making your character, you might also want to use the Morrowind Warpaints mod. This simply adds to or replaces the vanilla Warpaints with 9 of the patterns found in Morrowind. This is one of the quickest and least impacting ways to sprinkle a bit of Morrowind into your game, so if you're not looking for bigger gameplay changes, then this is the way to do it. So now that you've made your character, you can start exploring the world. A big difference here was how each game handled exploration, especially in terms of questing, the people you meet, and how each game handled loot. For the most part, Skyrim's quests directly point you to your destination, so you can sort of mindlessly just follow it without paying too much attention to the world around you. But in Morrowind there are no pointers and you have to rely on the detailed explanations in your quest journal. If you want something similar in Skyrim, then you'll want the Even Better Quest Objectives mod. The mod enhances nearly 250 quest objectives and descriptions, removing vague hints and instead giving well thought out and descriptive instructions to follow. The aim of the mod is to not force you to rely on your compass, but instead you should just be able to follow what's written and find your way. This is especially noticeable in the miscellaneous menu where it's usually very brief, like Speak to X or Find Item X. With all the extra reading you'll be doing, you might also want to install a new font mod. Magic Cards was the font used in Morrowind and it's one we have in this video. Just like the Warpaints mod, it's a quick and simple way to add a bit of Morrowind into your game. Another mod we recommend is Jaxon's real names. In Morrowind, all generic NPCs except guards had full unique names, but in Skyrim bandits are just called bandits, vampires are just vampire, and so on. The real names mod automatically applies unique first and second names to all generic NPCs in Skyrim, even including dragons. The names used are lore-friendly and appropriate for both race and gender, and in some cases their official title will still be shown in brackets alongside their real name. In terms of realism, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because there's no way you'd actually know the full names of bandits and other non-essential NPCs, but it can be a great way to make even more memorable experiences. You didn't just kill a random bandit chief, you killed Vigori the Candle, the mightiest of chiefs who wielded his trusted dwarven sword and shield. So for that reason we really like the mod. And finally, the last exploration mod we have is Morrowloot. Another great feature from Morrowind was how it handled rare loot. Both games have leveled loot systems, where random loot found in chests scales alongside your character's level. But in Morrowind, the rarest of loot could only be found physically in the game world in areas that made sense. This makes it so everything above dwarven gear is either much more difficult to craft or can't be found in random loot. Instead, you'll find rare gear scattered across the world, sometimes hidden in dark corners, and other times proudly on show. The mod places items where it makes sense, and you'll have to apply your knowledge of the game world if you want to hunt down rare gear. So if you're trying to put together an Alvan set, you know that it's common Thalmor attire. So you're either going to want to ambush their patrol or head to their embassies. Dwarven gear will only be found in Dwemer dungeons, Orcish gear is common in the Orc strongholds, and so on. Ebony is now extremely rare and only worn by Skyrim's elite. But the rarest of all is Daedric, where only a single set exists in all of Skyrim, just like the single set that existed in Morrowind. And finally, the mod also adds around a dozen artifacts from previous Elder Scrolls games, giving you even more incentives to start hunting for rare loot. The latest rendition of the mod, Morrowind Ultimate, overhauls several aspects of the base game to make Skyrim more suited to its new loot system. However, it's quite a bit more complicated than we'd like to get into for this video, so we'll cover it in an upcoming Where Are They Now episode. All in all, Morrowind can completely change the way you explore Skyrim and is a fantastic way to keep things fresh. One of the most effective ways to make your memories of Morrowind come rushing back is to re-equip your favourite armor set or weapon, but now in Skyrim. Depending on exactly what you're looking for, you have a bunch of great mods to choose from. The biggest of which is the Morrowind Armor compilation, which adds 9 new armor and weapon sets to the game. These were sets found in Morrowind and a few were also added by the Dragonborn DLC. So when installing the mod, you can either choose a standalone version or one that replaces the armors added by Dragonborn. The sets themselves are all of a high quality and they all fit in well alongside the vanilla sets, both in terms of their stats and appearance. One of the strongest standalone sets is the Netch leather armor. Netch leather can be harvested in Dragonborn, but the Netch leather armor was missing. It's a fantastic looking set that comes with a bunch of extra optional pieces, including a darker boiled version of the armor and several options for headgear, which are all compatible alongside the beast races. It's also a great example of how two different regions in Tamriel with different climates and resources end up crafting their version of leather armor. Whether you played Morrowind or not, this is a solid set to install. Alternatively, maybe you'd prefer to just stick with the vanilla Skyrim sets, but the one thing you missed were Pauldrons. Well then, the Morrowind Pauldron mod is the mod for you. It adds left and right Pauldrons for all of the vanilla base sets, allowing you to mix and match pieces in any way you'd like, just like in Morrowind. To avoid clipping, you'll pretty much have to avoid wearing them alongside other heavy armor sets, but for medium or light gear, the Pauldrons make for a nice addition. And finally, the last mods we have for you are PrivateEye's collection of Morrowind artifacts. All from the same mod author and of the same high quality, you can get your hands on the Rings of Old, the Helm of Tohan, Chrysamere and several other popular artifacts from Morrowind. They all come with fitting stats, enchantment effects and more, so they're reminiscent to how they were in Morrowind, but also so they fit into the new world of Skyrim. They've been scattered throughout the world, so you can either use the vague clues you find to go on a treasure hunt, or you can just keep an eye out as you explore. And that's the end of today's Spotlight. If you know any more Morrowind inspired mods, then let us know down below. Thanks to our partnership with G2A, we have a giveaway for a few gift cards. You can enter in 11 different ways by following the link down below. There's only 5 days left, and because it's only shared amongst our subscribers, you have a decent chance of winning, so it's probably worth a minute or two it'll take to enter. We'll be back soon with some more Skyrim and Fallout, and as always, thanks for watching.